welcome to the Craig Ferguson Show. I am your host, Craig Ferguson. As of late, we've been focusing on the 80s. Who better to bring in than Betty White? Come on in, Betty. Hello there. Hi. So nice to see you. Sit down here, Miss White. There you go. It's been a while since I've seen you last. You look great.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I just got some questions for you about the 80s. You know, our viewers have been wanting to have you in for a while. They say, we just love Betty White. We want to hear about her life in the 80s. So Betty, I'm sure everyone here wants to know a little about your past and what got you here today. Will you share?
I'd love to. I grew up in Illinois in the 1920s and 30s. My only aspiring dreams back then were to become a zookeeper and a forest ranger. My mother and father both had a huge impact on the person I am today. My mother, Tess, taught me to always be able to look myself in the mirror and honestly know the person who is looking back at me. My father, Horace, brought me to my love of animals and the outdoors, with all of the adventures he'd take us on. To this day, I would definitely consider myself an animal lover and an honest person. It was in my childhood when I discovered acting through a poem recitation. Although I felt a few butterflies, discovered to be a bit of stage fright, I could not picture myself doing anything else, but of course zookeeping or protecting the wildlife. I performed in any play I could, and when I wrote plays, I wrote myself into the lead, of course.
You mentioned in your new book, If You Ask Me, that you are often given the icky sweet Betty White persona in the roles you take on. Do you think this is accurate of your true personality?
Well, my late husband certainly thought so. I remember when I played a character on the Mary Tyler Moore Show, Sue Ann, the same icky sweet type, and he would get questioned if I was anything like Sue Ann. And he would say, they're really the same character, except Betty can't cook.
You mentioned your mother and father as being your role models when you were younger. What would you say has inspired you the most throughout your life?
It's more of a what that has inspired me in everything and anything I do. Animals have always inspired my desire to learn, to love, and to trust. I've had numerous amounts of dogs. None of them have ever left my side unless I was filming. Every single one of them was loyal, probably because I spoiled them. But the most influential experience I had was when I was able to visit a live gorilla who could speak through sign language. When she welcomed me into her home, while she held my hand, I felt comfortable, realizing that this giant beast was really a beautiful creature. I mentioned in my book, addressing the gorilla, "Coco dear, as smart as you are, you haven't learned as much from us as we have learned from you." Where it gets weird is with my stuffed animals. I know that it's strange to think that these toys have feelings, but I do. Maybe I am losing it with my old age.
Tell me about your role in the 1980s TV show, The Golden Girls.
It was definitely one of the funniest shows and funnest shows that I participated in. It won several awards, and I'm proud to say I was able to be a part of it. I played a widow who was remembered for a strange childhood. The cast was definitely the funnest part, and it consisted of 3 other main girls, and we all got along, and I love them to this day. They're my sisters.
I think all of us here are curious what it's like to be 89 years old and to be alive during the 1920s. Could you give an insight?
Let's just say that I certainly don't feel almost 90 years old. I feel the same as I did 50 years ago. There's no change except for you start to notice how annoyed people get when you say what too many times. I inherited the energy of my parents, always moving, even at this age. Having experienced much of the 20th century and beginnings of the 21st century, I'm supposed to be this wise person, but I still feel like a child inside. I expected to be the first to go of the Golden Girls cast, but I'm the last. Personally, I find some upsides to aging. People treat you a lot kinder, and there's always a place for you to sit down, whether you want it or not.
Well, heard my name is mentioned in your book. I was curious what it is you said about me.
Well, Craig, you'll just have to read it, I guess.
Clever sales pitch, Betty. On that note, thank you for joining my show tonight, and I look forward to reading your new book. Betty White, everybody.
Thanks for having me!